Hello, viewers. Welcome back to another engaging episode of Manager's Mantra, where we connect with industry leaders who are shaping the future of business management. Today, we have with us Dr. Sandhya Haridas, Vice President, Global Delivery Unit Head, Larsen & Toubro Technology Services, a global technology leader and AI enthusiast with a career spanning over 2 decades. Dr. Haridas has led engineering, industrial automation, aerospace, AI, and digital transformation initiatives across globally recognized companies, including the likes of Schneider Electric, Honeywell, GE Healthcare, Collins Aerospace, and more. She has also recently completed a Doctor of Business Administration specializing in responsible and explainable artificial intelligence. So, without waiting further, let's jump into the discussion.
Hi, Dr. Haridas. A very good afternoon and welcome to this new session of Managers Mantra, where we invite industry experts like you across different sectors. I'm sure this will be a great learning session for all the viewers who will be watching us, and it will be a great experience. And really looking forward to the interaction.
Thanks, Abhishek. Good afternoon, and very excited to be here and share my views. Thank you so much for having me on this show.
So the pleasure is ours. Let us start discussing the questions that we tend to discuss today. AI is a buzzword. It's the word of the hour, and everybody is talking about AI. But what we often overlook is the business implications and decision making, resource allocation. How has AI influenced decision making according to you, and how allocation of resources for business over the last couple of years has changed due to AI?
Yeah, so I do understand because AI is everywhere, and all of us are influenced to implement AI in our business or our industries, standard practices, and also in certain areas where like policymakers are also like adapting too much into AI. AI actually is an enabler. Like it can actually ensure your things actually are in place, and it definitely needs a lot of ability for an individual or for a leader to guide particular tool. So it is just a kind of a tool that I would say, but it is not a strategy. Sometimes it is misunderstood that AI can do a lot of job, lot of task, and it can replace human beings. But I think that is totally a wrong understanding. That is not so. AI actually needs guidance. That is like we make decisions based on certain data that what we have. AI itself cannot do task. So that means to say AI is not the one which is going to replace the job. Nobody can replace the human like interactions or the task that what a human being is doing. And when it comes to resource allocation, it's very important that we do understand where are we trying to utilize AI. AI actually is helping us to understand where we need to optimize certain operations, where we need to take certain decisions in the right way, and where certain resources or the skill sets or the competency is lacking. So this is an enabler. This is not a tool. So that is where the misunderstanding or a myth that is there in the industry today. And it is also about competition, right? I mean, everybody is using AI. Why I am not there? So that is not the question to be asked. Rather, what is the value that I want to bring? Okay, I want to use a concept of AI, but what is that it's going to add in my business? Is it going to increase my efficiency? It is going to increase the productivity, or am I going to optimize certain solutions? So it is all about looking in a different lens, and hence the outcome is what is that we are bringing on the table. It is not like whether I've used AI or not. That means to say we are only focusing on the solution, we are not focusing on the problem, right? Because everybody is using AI, the competitors are already on top of it, so let me also use it. So that is the wrong approach, and I would request the industry practitioners and the industry experts to relook and reassess the approach today. Enabler, AI is just an enabler, and it is not the concept by itself. That is my approach.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sandhya. Dr. Sandhya, your last statement actually triggers the next question, which is, do you think AI and new emerging tech, they're genuinely solving business problems, or companies are simply trapped in this rat race of joining the AI bandwagon?
I think it is both. Like, I mean, I do see both the kind of approaches in the industry today. So it is very evident that industries which is not able to sustain like its growth and innovation based on AI will not be there for a longer time. So in order to sustain, as we are using certain technologies, but what are we solving? right? What are the roadmap? What actually as an organization, what is my roadmap? Is it something that I'm trying to solve customer problems in an innovative way? Then we are using AI. Just because like AI is there, like there are so many hackathons, we come across so many forums, platforms that the employees or the teams are enabled to go ahead and bring upon certain ideas, participate in hackathons. They go ahead and develop so many ideologies, they go ahead and develop certain tools, but they don't know where to implement. And then comes the pressure on the leader saying that, is I have come up with so many ideas, and what is the outcome of this? What is the dollar value? Then they say, okay, you already have a solution, can we please implement this tool for this particular problem? So it's a different direction that what we are taking. This will not solve the approach. The approach should be like, first identify the problems and ensure if this is what AI can solve your problem. There are so many problems where AI is not required. There are certain areas where AI is definitely required. For example, predictive maintenance, there are certain productivity enablers, there are certain automated tools that is definitely enabling and ensuring that the kind of the task, what it was a repetitive task, that is actually reduced drastically. But when it comes to kind of innovation, when it comes to strategy, it is always important for leaders to understand, is it the right decision I'm actually flowing down to the team? Because if a leader is not able to understand the importance of implementing AI and also taking a wrong approach that I should be in the competition and I just want my board of directors to be convinced, or my stakeholders to be convinced, or my customers to look upon me that I am doing the latest, problem solving, it will not help. For us, it is very important to get back to the roots, saying that what is your problem statement? Is this what we want to do next 3 years or next 5 years? What is the strategy? AI actually was already there in the past. It is not happening now. Okay. And gradually there are organizations where there are certain policies coming up saying that no AI is required. There is no AI policy will come up very soon. So whatever like the framework that what we are working should be able to be adapted to the next 5 years and 10 years, even when automation or even when AI actually is not no more a trend, because that can be something where ethical decisions will come in between that kind of task we are doing and what the industry would want that time. So we have to be very futuristic, just not go by the blind spot that what we have today, that every competitor is using AI and I have to be on top of it just because AI is a buzzword. That's a wrong approach.
So, Dr. Sandhya, now with the emergence of AI and how AI has disrupted several industries, we are kind of concerned about our roles. So, my next question is about that. That what does the role of humans look like in an automated manufacturing world? And how do you decide when human oversight must step into an automated AI process?
Yes, there is a very clear, defined path of what AI can do and what human beings are required to be there for doing their task. For example, certain repetitive task, on a manufacturing floor or on a shop floor. So these things actually can be automated easily. You don't need cognizant abilities or decision-making criteria there. So this pattern recognition, repetitive task, and as well as certain tasks where cognizant abilities are not required. For example, it could be operational continuity and monitoring thousands of variables. There are a lot of operational data today, and that is something which machine can do or the algorithms can do. That is what we say AI can do that job. But when it comes to, okay, I need a leader who wants to give me a strategy on innovation. Okay, so is this something AI can do? No. So this is something which a leader who actually has ability to decide, who actually has an ability to understand the strategy, so he can go ahead and come up with an innovative ideas and the technology that is required. So these are the various kind of a thin line that is there between how we think, what, where, and when we need to implement AI, and where we need to have leaders taking decisions. So I think this is very, very critical for the team that what we are developing today, to ensure that right task, right tool, and decisions, innovation, and as well as ethical, morale of the team. All this actually is what is guided by a leader. It cannot be done by an AI. So we already have seen that transition happening where the human touch is already declining today, because we have been focusing so much on bringing AI. For example, hotel industry, right? I mean, we need a human touch there. We need a reception, somebody who's sitting there to talk to us, to make the traveler or the one who is entering or registering to get into the hotel accommodation. We need that human touch. We need somebody to talk to us. If you are trying to put an AI agent there, or if you are trying to put a robo there, you can just understand how inhuman it look. There are no emotions involved. So I think we have to be very cognizant on where we want to implement AI and where we should not be, and it also has to be very much industry specific, and also to understand who are your users, who are your end users, and how does a persona want to feel that particular product. So these are the various kind of attributes that what we have to be really really cognizant about.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sandhya. As we are constantly talking about AI, it also, triggers a question about the skilling part of it. Do you think we have adequate skill gaps to, support this transition? And how do you plan to address the skill gap and prepare the workforce amid this transition of manual processes into automated ones? What can be the major challenges facing young leaders during this significant shift?
Yes, I think the strategy is very clear that we have an culture within organizations to innovate. And when we are innovating, it is also important that how are we going to take people along with us. So that is very important and critical journey for any leader. So there are certain initiatives in every organization called where you are trying to upskill. That is trying to see that what are the kind of primary and the secondary skills or the competencies your task force actually has. And from there, where would you want to see the task force transitioning to meet that strategy that what you already have laid down. So it is like the process, it is technology and the people, that these are like three kind of important pillars. And without each one of the support you cannot go ahead. So it is very critical that we need to constantly look at how are we going to upskill and how are we going to reskill the competencies and the kind of trainings that what we give to our task force. Because there are certain self learning courses which most of the organizations have come up with, especially in digital transformation, and especially for the youngsters, because they are so much already prepared to meet today's market demands, because their engineering backgrounds are already preparing them, the universities are already preparing them, the internships are already preparing them, and they're also taking very deep interest in upskill themselves even before they come to the corporate, even before they enter the organizations. And from there, what they're lacking is the kind of practical problems to the theoretical knowledge they have. So this there are certain initiatives which few organizations like Schneider, LTTS, and as well as Honeywell, where we go ahead and handhold few of the young talent to give them the industry exposure, and also to involve them into the industry hackathons or kind of framework, that they are prepared when they enter the organization, they're already prepared for this. So there are certain initiatives which we are doing. And also the culture of continuous learning, that is something, and every organization is prepared, and they have to be there. That is very very much important for leaders to look at it, uh, kind of primary, secondary, and as well as auxiliary skill sets that each of these engineers come up with. How are we going to implement the strategy or the roadmap to the skill sets that they have? For example, few engineering degrees already giving talking about cybersecurity as a specialized course. That means they know all the basics, they know the formula, but where to fit in, how to fit in is what the leader's job is all about. And now when we're coming onboarding certain highly talented youngsters, we also have to keep them absorbed in the high caliber kind of job environment, so that they are not demotivated, and their energy is completely utilized and channelized. So from that perspective, I think it is very critical for us to balance what they have brought, the theoretical knowledge, and as well as the industry exposure that what we are giving. So there are certain workshops, most of the universities are already joining hands with the Fortune 500 organizations, because we also promote certain product roadmap, or like a kind of road shows, that I would say, with respect to our product life cycle, so that the young engineers are already acquainted with and they come prepared to the industry.
Thank you so much. Uh, As you know, a lot of our viewers are the management students who will be watching this interaction, and they will be really interested to know that what are some of the top opportunities for MBAs in an automated manufacturing world, which will be powered by AI and robotics.
which includes digital transformation leadership, because today we are talking about a lot of digitization happening within the organization, and it is very important for us that the leaders are prepared and we open opportunities for this kind of transition to happen. And there are opportunities like operations strategy, I would say, and similarly, like in the space of ethical decisions, because AI cannot do a lot of intervention which is right, which is wrong, because it lacks that kind of abilities. So we need a few of, like, in those decision making abilities in line with the organization boundaries that what we have, so that we actually called as AI implementation and change management. That is another stream, which I think is very, very important and fast growing now. Business analytics. So this is 100% very much important. And today we are talking about huge data coming in from various aspects of finance, HR, operations, right? Like many other streams. So business analytics itself is like, a kind of branch. And I see that a lot of undergrad and as well as the post graduation programs are already there in place, offered by many universities. And there are tools, Tableau, and kind of other tools where like engineers and as well as MBA students can go ahead and do a lot of experiments, showcase their kind of business analytics skill sets to understand how the data actually works. And that is something which is very, very critical for the business to perform. And another important program is like, industrial IoT program management. That is also fast growing, because today we're talking about connected devices, connected enterprises, and then talking about like bringing industry 4.0 and 5.0 together, which is like all about digital transformation, implementation of AI. For that, IoT is going to be playing a very, very important role. So the MBA students can focus on how are they going to bring business analytics plus IoT kind of a platform, how things actually are working. There's a strategy that is required by the in leadership to work with the MBA graduates. That is very, very critical for the business as well. And also innovation and in venture development. So this is one more area that what is very important for MBA students to look at. Supply chain management is one more critical area. Today it is all about consultative approach in the industries that what we do, and we do handhold lot of top OEMs to give services, maybe something that what we call supply chain as a service, which is something similar to SaaS, software as a service. So similarly, supply chain sourcing actually as a service is gradually building the kind of traction. So these are the various areas. I think the MBA students, or the kind of programs that what they're trying to target, should focus on these kind of areas.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sandhya. And before we wrap up the interaction, I have to ask this question to you that, about the skilling part once again, that, what do you think are the top skills that the next crop of leaders should possess to stay ahead in the rest? Because we are now talking about digital transformation, we are talking about artificial intelligence, robotics. So is being tech savvy the single most important factor in determining their success?
Tech savvy actually is very, very important, as I said, but that alone cannot be a differentiator. So what actually is required is for us to understand the baseline is who are those leaders who will continue to understand technical understanding, and as well as the capabilities that what they're actually building in. And how does the economy evolve? That is very, very critical for us. Once an individual understands, okay, I know I'm a technocraft and I know I'm going to bring an entrepreneurial kind of an ability onto the table, but what actually he has to develop when it comes to digital transformation is, as I said, how am I going to look at the data? So is that data something going to give me a kind of a technical solution? That is anyway our engineers are doing. So what can an MBA student look? He has to look from a perspective of how can I monetize the data? How can I build the business value across the data? What are the use cases that actually that can come up with this particular problem area? So when we are looking actually at the enterprise level, It is all about the dollar value, as I said. And today there are various challenges because the data is not just thrown with A's. It actually has a lot of challenges, and every data that a component is trying to throw out with respect to its operational data, that means there is a lot of money involved there. For example, it could be a data that what can give me on the equipment failures, or the recommendations that what I'm looking at from a customer perspective, saying that there are certain failures I'm facing, and I would want the organization to look at the operational data and recommend certain solutions and give me an heads up even before the component fails. So is this something a kind of a tech savvy can do, or is it something a business analytics guy can do? So this is something that what we need, a blend of both, who can look at data actually as dollar value and attach the technical solution along with data monetization of it. This is a strategy that MBA youngsters particular approach, because finally it is all about revenue. It is all about profitability for the organization.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sandhya. I mean, with that, we come to the end of the conversation. This was really a great conversation, a great interaction with you. You shared a lot of rich insights and personal experiences that will again help the students to learn a lot from this interaction. Thank you so much once again for taking out time and agreeing to participate here. And we look forward to stay connected with you and have you again in any of the future sessions of Be Smart Business Standard. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Abhishek. Thanks to all the MBA students. Thank you. Bye.
So that's a wrap on this episode of Manager's Mantra. Thank you, Dr. Haridas, for sharing your rich experience and providing career tips to the B Schoolers. Be Smart viewers, we hope you found this conversation helpful. Share your thoughts with us at bsmart.edit@bsml.in. Follow us on LinkedIn and Instagram for more such insightful and inspiring content. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing.